Now, a lot of people ask me, what's your opinion on Russia and Ukraine? What's your opinion on Israel and Palestine? I always tell them, I keep my opinions to myself. But when it comes to the UFC White House card, I have some opinions. And these are just my predictions. These aren't really my opinions. Some of this video will be opinion based, but I just want to show who I think could be on it and who I think will be on it for the most part. I know looking back on this like title sheet right here, it does seem a little high hopes. Like Connor, what's the odds of that? Probably low. But I could see Nunes, whatever. We'll get into it. We'll get into it. This is the main event, and I know that they're not fighting for a title. Do not let them fight for the BMF belt. That'd be stupid because none of them are worth the BMF belt. 170, obviously. We could see him at 185. We don't know. We could see him at 155, but this is just my predictions. It's a prediction video. We have McGregor. He's 1-3 in his last 4 fights. So is Chandler. This makes this a great matchup. I do think, however, that Chandler absolutely stomps McGregor. That's just my opinion. I don't really care who wins. I got Bruce Buffer. I have all white or navy blue. Now, I guess this is a prediction video, so I am gonna predict navy blue. Who is that? Mark Goddard. I have Mark Goddard for the main event with his signature wink. Yeah, I think it'll be all good. Now, Connor, why do we make him the main event with no title? Well, he has 5 out of the 10 most pay-per-view. He has 5 out of the most 10 most. Oh my goodness. He has 5 out of 10 most pay per view buys in history, and that's like UFC, boxing, everything. So you have to make a main event. I don't care if it's for a title. I don't care if it's for a can of chili. Make it the main event. I don't understand why you wouldn't. Now, he is suspended until March 20th, which he wasn't going to fight anyways if there wasn't a White House card, so it doesn't matter. So he'll be back. His last fight will have been almost 5 years ago when he steps in the octagon on 4th of July. This is pretty bad for McGregor. 5 years ago. What was I doing 5 years ago? I just got out of high school, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. What were you guys doing 5 years ago? This is time for self-reflection. He's 1-3 in his last 4 fights. And he died in Roadhouse. So this is a lot of stuff going against him. I just watched that movie. It kind of sucks. He just plays himself, but it's somehow worse. And he's actually only 37, which surprises me. I mean, if he would have kept going, he could have done a lot. Whatever. Then we have Michael Chandler from Missouri. This is good. This is good. 1-3 in last 4 fights. This is why this is great. He did go to some decisions, I think. Now in Connor's case, he was only TKO'd or subbed, so this is not going to be a decision fight. This is why we need this on the main event. We need this for the main event. He can probably fight one more time before the White House since he's been so inactive waiting on Chandler. Or, sorry, he's been so inactive waiting on Connor. What was he waiting 2 or 3 years to fight Connor? So he could fight one more time. We need to promote him a little bit. I say you put him against King Green. Does it really matter? Just someone who he won't lose against, which isn't a lot of people now. How it seems. He is American. That's good. All these guys don't need to be American, but I think it does help boost the card a little bit. What is it? The UFC De Noche card wasn't all Mexicans, so whatever. Or no, Mexican Independence Day. I don't know if that's the same as De Noche, but the Sphere was not all Mexicans. I think Sean O'Malley headlined it, so whatever. Is he Mexican? I don't know. Get a DNA test. He has little to no aura to lose. This is a good thing for Chandler. If he loses, McGregor, it brings it up so much. Everyone's gonna be like, "What? He came back after 5 years and won? That shouldn't happen." Chandler, he'll go down as like one of the worst, most overhyped UFC people in history, probably. Now, if he beats McGregor, people will be like, "Oh well, yeah, it should happen. He beat McGregor." Now he will be 40. This is about time to go into boxing or something. Go into wrestling. I don't know what you can do when you're 40 with wrestling besides WWE, but Chandler, you're one of the most jacked guys in the UFC, so I wish you well. I'm not gonna make really any hard predictions for the winning, for like winning or losing for this, because we don't even know if these matchups are gonna happen, so it's like whatever. Co-main event, we got Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison. Now I think this is gonna be a rematch because I know they're fighting soon. What UFC event is that? UFC 324 in January. So this is a good turnaround. 5 months for the White House card. 5 or 6 months, something like that. Yeah. This will be good. As long as none of them completely dominate each other on the ground or just like a crazy, overwhelming striking domination, I don't see a reason not to do a rematch. I mean, none of this division. What are they? 135. This division is not amazing, I wouldn't say. Kayla Harrison's gonna run it for a while, and Kayla Harrison would have ran it for a while if it's not for Amanda Nunes. So if she beats Nunes, I don't see anyone getting in Kayla Harrison's way. That's all right. We have the WMMA GOAT. Now, it will be 2 years since her last fight, and she fought Irene Aldana. Now, I don't watch UFC every freaking card, dude. Sorry, I don't know who that is, but it's like, whatever. That's her last fight. We have to check. Put her against Kayla Harrison. She fluked out against Pena. She had minus 1,000. No. You know what? Pena had plus 800 or plus 1,000 or something, and I was like, I've never bet in my life, but this makes me want to throw down 100 on Pena. And what does she do? She freaking just throws her hands out and just taps Nunes on the head like 10 times, and it's whatever. 38. She's getting up there. She just welcomed her daughter. Good job, good job. Yeah, second fight makes sense unless someone turns into prime Hamzat Chimaev and we see like a Hamzat versus Dricus rematch where, Nunes puts Kayla Harrison in a crucifix and beats her up for 5 rounds. No one wants to see a rematch of that. I doubt Dricus will fight for the title for like another 2 years. Whatever, we're not talking about Dricus. Kayla Harrison, 3-fight win streak. Good job. She's probably on something. As a very athletic guy myself, I can say when I see something like this, I have to say something. Where's USADA? They banned McGregor, but who cares? We have some promotion for the women's division. Let's not test her. I actually agree. I don't care. Hey, if you want to get on them, get on them. American. That's another good point. She is 35, so there's probably no GOAT case for her to make. She beats Nunes, and then who else can she beat? How many more times can she defend the title? Now, this guy, I forgot his name, but I see him all the time. He won't have to take a point for low blows. I know he reffed Kevin Holland, I think, when he got kicked in the nuts like 2 or 3 times. So that's good. We don't have to take points. We can just sit there and kind of watch for the most part. Here is one of the most exciting fights. This is the Perreira retirement fight at heavyweight, by the way, 265. We have Herb Dean, a big fella, has to ref this one. He's the GOAT ref. This is why this all makes sense. Now, if Alex gets the 3 titles in the 3 weight classes, that pretty much solidifies him as top 5 MMA GOAT, UFC GOAT, whatever. Some people are going to put him at 1. Some people are going to say he's not in the top 5. You can never make everyone happy. For me, I've only been watching UFC since around COVID. So this literally is one of the best fighters I've ever seen. So who am I to, whatever. I'm not here to give my rankings. I think he does retire, win or lose, and he is 38. So if he loses, if he loses, which he probably would against Aspinall, then he retires. If he wins, I don't see him holding on to it for an Aspinall rematch. Why would you do that? And this makes sense on this card because Alex is going to be on this card. I'm not feeling iffy about this one. I think he'll be on this card no matter what. Now, Tom, this is the iffy one. Sorry I did this to him. I really do like Tom. It's just a funny picture. It's like, I don't know. It's a funny picture. He could be replaced with Jones for a Jones versus Alex non-title fight. We could see that as well. This will be Tom's. This will be one of his hardest fights, and I'm being honest. Who's harder? Do you think Ciryl Gane? Pause. Which is a harder fight, Ciryl Gane or Alex Perreira? I don't know, but there's not a lot of people in the heavyweight division. So for Alex to come up and fight Tom, and Alex has this aura, he's gonna come out and shoot the bow at you and scream. Ciryl Gane's just kind of walking out there. He doesn't really say anything. He's kind of like goofy. He poked you in the eye 5 times. He's like they're both French. He's like the Rudy Gobert of UFC. It's kind of annoying, actually. I don't want to see Ciryl Gane on this card at all. So this will be one of his hardest fights. This can break his heavyweight GOAT case, but I don't think it can make his heavyweight GOAT case. I think if he loses to Alex, I could not see him being the GOAT. He's too young. He'll only be 33. If he loses to Alex, that's really bad, especially if Alex retires after that. He'll never get his get back. It would actually be terrible. So maybe they won't make this fight just because of that. Now, if he beats Alex, it's a great win, but at the end of the day, he came from 185 to 205 up to 265. I mean, he's not going to be 265. He's probably going to be in the 220 to 240 range, I would guess, around there. Upper 230. If you beat him, people are just going to say, oh, you beat up on a smaller guy, especially if you wrestle him. We don't know his wrestling. We know he has great defense. We don't know his jiu-jitsu, whatever. And like I said, there's a good chance Jones replaces him for this fight. Now, here's the worst fight on the main card, the one no one wants to see. Hopefully, this is not on the card, but I think there's a chance of it happening. Only because I know Ilya's going through stuff with some divorce, and he won't be active for the first quarter of the year. So unless they make a card for him right before the UFC White House card, which they could, I see this being on the White House card. So obviously he kills Patty, and also I put Patty here because it's being Justin Gaethje versus Patty Pimblett for UFC 324 for the title, like for interim title. So when Ilya comes back, and I think I love Gaethje in his prime. He's a better fighter than Patty, but right now, I don't think he beats Patty. That's just my opinion. So I'm already making a double prediction here. So this is Gaethje or Patty. It doesn't matter who ends up on this card. They're losing to Ilya. Anyways, Patty, this would be the hardest fight he'd ever have. Now he has been gaining some fans. I think the problem is he's been fighting some weird matchups like Tony Ferguson, Michael Chandler. I can't think of. Let me think of someone else he's fought. So he got a win over Bobby Green, Jared Gordon, and then this Luigi. I think this guy shot that CEO. See, these are just weird wins. And then he beat Michael Chandler, and like I said, Michael Chandler's gonna be 40 by the time the White House card rolls around. So it's like you beat a 39-year-old dude. You pretty much beat up your dad. It's whatever. If he wins this, that would be one of the biggest upsets in UFC history. It's in recent memory, at least. I think if he loses, he'll probably fight Oliveira. I don't see them giving a rematch for Oliveira versus Ilya. So I do think he fights Oliveira if he loses, which he probably will. Now he is 31, so he has a chance to bounce back. This guy here, I think he's an early stoppage type of guy. But it doesn't matter. Usually Ilya knocks people out cold, so it shouldn't play a factor. The only issue with Ilya is if he's if it's a strikeout match where somehow Patty is caught up in striking, which I don't think will happen. But if they're just brawling and then he says, let's take it to the ground. I mean, Patty's a huge guy, man. He's really a 170-pound guy. And you're probably average for the 155 division. Also, the bad part about this fight is UFC fans want to see him fight Islam. But Patty probably brings in more numbers than Islam as far as fans in the UK. Even people here know him. They know Molly McCann. Now, this is crazy. Ilya will only be 29 years old, which actually is nuts. I do think there's a great chance this fight happens. Now, the chances of it happening on this card, I don't know. That's why these are all predictions. This is the one I did not put on the title because I wasn't very confident with it. And like I said, to reiterate, this is Patty's hardest fight he will probably ever have in all of career, in his life probably. I think, honestly, I'm not going to say that. All right, let's go on to the next slide. Banger, right? This is going to start off the card, and I don't care about the placements. Place this at main event. Who cares? It's not for a belt. I think this would be a straight-up brawl fest. Oliveira could probably do some great, grappling and submission work if you wanted to, but, dude, we're on the freaking White House lawn. Let's do something here. I think if he beats Max, this could get him a rematch versus Ilya. I think that's possible. I think, if I don't know how long Ilya plans to stay around. I really want to see him go up and fight Islam. But if Ilya's going to stay, I think if they screw over Arman, this will get him a rematch. This will be one of his last fights. I don't know how many fights he has remaining on his contract. But so, of course, I just look it up. And the rumor is March or April of 2026. Charles is expecting to fight Max, which would not put them on the White House. But, push it back a couple months, and I think this could go in the White House. This would be a great fight. Charles is negotiating his contract. I don't know if it's going to be a 1 or 2 month deal. People's champ, champ's champ. This is a great, Charles, when I first started watching him, he's actually one of my favorite, probably my favorite fighter I've ever watched, not live, but as they were active in the UFC, I think that's been my favorite fighter. I think he has 2 to 3 fights left. He's 36, and at the lightweight division, you can't get that much older without getting KO'd. And just, unless you want to be a gatekeeper until you're 40 to 42 and just lose to a lot of young guys for 5 years, I don't think he'd want to do that. I think it could be Max, though. Max, this would be just a fun fight. He could get his highlights up. He has that banger against Justin Gaethje that they spam. Yeah, it's Justin Gaethje. I was going to say Dustin Poirier. Yeah, Justin Gaethje, they spam that 10-second needless knockout, which, it was a sick knockout. He's 34, which actually surprised me. He's really young, so he still has time. He could fight, there's really no one in the division for him to fight. Arman beats him. Charles probably beats him. Ilya destroys him. Ilya already destroyed him. Now, this could set him up for Patty. We don't know where all the matchups are yet, right? We don't know where all the matchups are. This could set him up for Patty. This would be a great fight for Patty. And he's American. I know he's Hawaiian born, whatever. I think he might, he has the American flag next to his name. That's enough. I'm just putting it on there as a plus. These are more pluses, okay? Here's some honorable mentions. Yeah, so we have John. There's a big chance he comes back. Not a big chance, sorry. Let me take that back. There's a probably 10% chance he comes back. And if he did, he'd fight Alex, like, for sure. Now, we could have Islam on the card versus Ian Gary or Shavkat Rakhmonov. It's kind of weird for Ian Gary to fight Islam when Shavkat beat Ian Gary. Yes, Ian Gary looks really good right now, and that was a very close fight between him and Shavkat. But Shavkat did beat him. He's just not active, it feels like. The other replacement or chance is that Alex fights someone at light heavyweight. Who would he fight at light heavyweight? I'm not sure. Yeah, that's one. Diego Lopez, if he beats Volk, I think he could be on this card. Do I think Volk would be on this card? No. So Diego Lopez has to beat Volk in January or whatever, whenever they fight, February, March. I forgot when they fight. He has to beat him, and then he can go on the White House card. But if Volk beats Diego Lopez, he's not going on this card. He's not going on the card. Put Bo Nickel on there for no reason really, but just because he's American. Colby for the same reason. Colby Covington, Trump's favorite fighter. That's the rumor. I don't think that rumor is true, but it's good to just keep saying so people think that. Kevin Holland, that's one of my favorite fighters as well. I think he always makes for a good fight. Just throw him on there. Sugar Sean, I think you could, I don't see why he couldn't be on there. He's one of the biggest fighters ever. The only issue is I don't know who he'd fight. He's beating Song Yad, or not beating. Well, yeah, he is beating, but he's gonna fight Song Yadong soon. On Instagram, you put like I don't beat Mudong, but I beat Sadong on whatever. I don't know what date that was. Oh, he's on 324. Yeah, that card is kind of stacked. That card might be better than the White House card. That's actually crazy. So yeah, put Sean on there. I don't know who he fights. That division's in a very weird spot with Marab there. You could have Sean Strickland versus Izzy. I would love to see that. Only problem is if you want to make this like straight entertainment, I mean that's not going to be a great entertaining fight. I would say Hamzat. We need some activity out of him. I know he just beat Duplessis, but he probably cannot get on the lawn, and that's why I say I don't know about Islam too. I don't know if these guys with their manager Allah Abdeliz or whatever. I don't know if they can get on the lawn. I don't know if they can get in the U.S. half the time, unless you like take them on a helicopter and they like rappel into the cage so they never actually like their foot doesn't step on the lawn. I think maybe they could fight, but I don't even know if Hamzat would fight. That's a whole issue in itself. He just put the division's best guy in a crucifix 5 rounds in a row and like took his lunch money. So unless you do Hamzat versus Alex Perreira, then yeah, I don't know who he's gonna fight. They could always do my dream fight, which is Ilya versus Islam. The true GOAT discussion doesn't make Ilya GOAT right away. No, but doesn't make Islam GOAT. Probably if he beats Ilya, yeah. You could throw Marabo in here and fight anyone. He's a fun fighter. You could do Umar again. I think that, like I said, that whole division's 135. That division's in a weird spot. You could do Arman, but he's been screwed over so many times, and he's not like the most entertaining guy I've ever seen. He just beat Dan Hooker. He beat Charles by just sitting on him and punching him a few times. Yeah, I doubt he makes it. You could do Mackenzie Dern versus whoever. I don't know. That's just a WMMA fight I put on there. And then you could do Shevchenko goes up for winner of Nunes and Harrison and do that instead of the Nunes and Harrison rematch. Now, that would be crazy. I'll tell you that. That would be a good fight. That'd be a good fight. Yeah, those are my official predictions. I know definitely all news coming out probably tomorrow and the following day breaks all this, like, just destroys all my predictions, so it's whatever. I'll probably do a prediction for UFC 324. I only like predicting the main cards. I don't like predicting, like, prelims and stuff, but I probably still will. That's all I got. Let me know if you want more videos like this or whatever you want. Thank you.